I-28F being held hostage at my parents' place 57 meters and 53F, and I don't know what to do. I-25F. Have been living in Australia for the last 4 years. Last month I fractured my hand and had to get surgery. My parents wanted me to take sick leave and come to India to get it fixed. Their reasoning: it'd be very expensive to get it fixed here, and that it would be easier to have someone to take care of me. I understand their concern, but I wanted to be able to fix things where possible. I suggested I to talk to the doctors and explore my options before I decide to fly to India. After talking to doctors, I realized that it was cheaper to stay here and get the surgery as my insurance covered most of it. I didn't want to go to India for various reasons. First, I want to have the chance to try and fix things by myself wherever possible. Second, I had some major changes happening at work and I wanted to be around for that. And lastly, my father has been looking into various marriage proposals for me, even though I have made it abundantly clear that I don't want an arranged marriage. I've been planning on telling them about my non-Indian boyfriend and didn't want to be there until I'd done that. Also, I came back from India after a month-long vacation in November, so it's not like I hadn't seen them in a long time. When I called up my father to tell him that I want to get the surgery done here, he blew up. He screamed at me for 10 minutes, saying things like, "You have absolutely zero sense in you. You just always assume that you know best. Just because you got a little bit of money, you think you can handle everything yourself. Of course, you don't even care if we're dead or alive. You'd rather cut all contact with your family because you prefer this independent life. We don't have any right to take care of our own family members now. Yeah, sure, stay with people there that you call friends because they're above your family to you now, and ultimately let us know if you even want us in your life anymore." And he blocked me after that. This was 4 weeks ago. I got the surgery done, haven't heard from them at all. I called my mother 3 times and she hasn't picked up. My brother is getting mad at me that I'm not making more of an effort to reach out to them. But honestly, I'm furious to now. They had concerns about me getting my surgery done here, and I got solutions to their concerns. They still insisted I come to India, which just makes me believe that all they care about is control. They wanted me in India to ease my life, but when I decided to get the surgery done here, they did not hesitate to put additional stress on me. Also, it's their anniversary in a couple of days and I might not get a chance to wish them. I'm working hard to be a strong, independent woman, and I want to have the best relationship with my parents. But I am just afraid that having that kind of relationship would come with me having a lot less control over my life. Ada for not giving that up. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I wasn't expecting this post to reach so many people. Thank you so much, everyone, for your comments. I really appreciate it. I'm going through them and I'll try to reply to all, but it might just be a little slow. I saw a lot of comments suggesting that they might marry me off when I go back. I don't think they can force me into a marriage, and surely any self-respecting guy wouldn't want to marry someone who doesn't want him. I don't know anymore. I just knew that there would be a lot of emotional drama, manipulation, and whatnot when I refused to look at the potential suitors. And I didn't want to be there in such a vulnerable condition dealing with that. Oop is voted to original post. December 4th, 2025 tears, 8 months later edit. Taking into account a couple comments and ADM, maybe the term hostage is too extreme if a word. And I apologize, as it wasn't for clickbait but because I was extremely emotional when I wrote this. I-28F Indian AM, so exhausted of fighting. I'm writing this on my phone in a very emotional state, so apologies if it isn't well formatted or isn't very well written. 3 years ago, I made a post about how my family stopped talking to me because I didn't travel back to my home country to get my surgery done. Well, things never really got better. I started talking to them maybe a year after my surgery when they reached out, and it wasn't great. All we did was fight, and any cordial conversations were conversations of no value. Essentially just limited to how's work going? What did you eat? Blah, blah, blah. Last year, they showed up to Australia out of the blue and I didn't handle that well. My partner and I met them, but suffice to say they weren't very happy. Coming back to today, I came to visit them in India. With my partner staying with us for a week and then 2 weeks, without him they were adamant. They only want to spend time with me. I was keen to work on the relationship because I do want to get married and have the option to have potential kids, and I don't want to do that. Without them involved in my life, I'm dating an Australian guy 28 meters who I've been in a relationship with for over 5 years. They made an excuse so we couldn't stay with them together, but they met up with us for lunch the day my partner was leaving. Ever since I've started staying with them, they started talking about how I should extend my trip. I've made it very clear about how I can't, and I've had multiple fights with them over this. One of them where my dad started talking about how I'm essentially filth and I live in filth. And he can't believe he's been loving filth this entire time. They've been taking me around out relatives and didn't let me leave the day I had my return ticket. I've cried so much talking to them, but apparently the plan always is what they want from me. They've said I'm not allowed to leave anymore because apparently I've become a very negative person. And they are worried about me. They have said that the Australian chapter is closed for me and I'm staying here from now on. I'm so scared and I really don't know how to deal with this situation. And I am looking for advice from anyone at all. I want to leave, but I'm worried they're going to stand guard at the door from now on and won't let me walk out. My brother is physically bigger and stronger than me, and he isn't on my side either. Some of Oop's comments. Justin O'Thurmaner. You are an adult. A quick Google of Indian laws shows that holding you there against your will is a violation of the Indian Penal Code. So call your local law enforcement, explain your situation, and have them escort you out the door and over to the airport. If your birth family is violently opposed to your relationship, there is no way they are ever going to agree to a wedding. So you have no reason to keep them in your life anymore. Go back to Australia where you will be safe from them, and when you're ready, marry your BF in a civil ceremony. Up to you on whether you notify your family after the fact or simply go no contact. I'm sorry, Op, but ultimately you need to do what feels best for your own authentic adult life. Allowing yourself to stay trapped in your birth family's home until they can marry you off to someone they select does not sound like something you want. Remember, this is the only life you're ever going to get. OOP, thank you. I've been too disturbed to think rationally and just wanted to seek advice from other people because calling cops seemed too extreme. But my aunt has threatened to tear my passport or lodge an infer against me for a made-up reason. So I'll be tangled in court cases and won't be able to leave. I'm just really scared to do this alone here, but I guess I have to. Mooseliv, will the cops take this type of call seriously? Or will they treat it as a family matter even though it's illegal? If you think this might happen, you should rather contact a women's shelter. Also, ensure that your partner knows exactly what's going on and keep the messages as a record of how your family has treated you and cause it's needed in future. OOP, that's the other thing I'm worried about. Family relationships trump everything else in India. And I don't know to what extent it extends to cops as well. I've emailed a women's shelter, but I don't have an Indian number and haven't been able to make the calls. Oop adds. I've been holding my passport, my visa, and my credit cards on me at all times. I'm worried my father can escalate things further because I never expected things to turn out this way, and they did. My BF can book tickets for me for sure, but he's not in the country. So his involvement will be limited to another commenter. I can enable roaming and then hopefully make calls. Booking Uber would be fine, but it would be good to have a way to make calls if needed. I honestly don't care about money at this point. I also have an SIM that only has data so I can still access internet leave early in the morning. Middle of the night. The house isn't too big and the door makes a lot of noise when opened. Sorry, I know it sounds like an excuse, but I'm really scared of getting caught. and making things so much worse, but I know I'd have to do that, and that's the only way. We're leaving for my parents' place tomorrow from my grandparents. I have had no opportunity to escape yet because I've constantly been surrounded by too many people. But I know I'll have to act when we're at my parents'. To a longer comment, thank you so much for your reply. I appreciate you citing the texts that they hold so dear. My family, my relatives love me so much, but their love borders around possession. I've heard such foul things from them, including how no other girl in the family would ever be given an opportunity to grow from now on because of the example I've set after being trusted. I'm so exhausted of being blamed for every skin problem later in the comment thread. I love this so much. I've had Gita with me for a couple years, but haven't read it. If I get out of this situation, I'm definitely reading it. Thank you for your insight. My family is extremely religious. And the other reason they're worried is because our family astrologer apparently told them that I'm on a very wrong path, and in 3 to 4 years my life would be absolutely ruined. They think they're protecting me, but I cannot get myself to agree to that. David, your father called you filth. I'm not sure that's love. OP has been acting all loving since then, and this has always been the pattern. He spews hateful things at me and then acts normal the next day or extra loving. And I'm supposed to forget all about it. I've always been told his anger is just built up frustration, but when I get angry, I'm told I need to see a psychiatrist or a counselor. Is Oop an Australian citizen? Nope, unfortunately not. Otherwise, I could imagine Australian embassy being a lot more involved. Ultra Prismic, I think you should post about this in an India-specific sub. Americans who aren't familiar with India can't say whether or not the cops will uphold the law for you. It might be smarter to play along with your family until they trust you enough to leave the house on your own and just slip away while running errands. OP, I tried finding Indian-specific subreddits to post on, but in my state, this felt like the easiest place to post. I wanted to post in India subreddit, but they've changed the way you post Skindia. And I knew no one would ever be able to see this. Editor's note: is advised to post in the Skindian women subreddit comments from that subreddit. Agitated Quiet 7670. If you can still use technology, contact a lawyer and file a habeas corpus writ. You can obviously call the cops too. Also, ask your partner to book a ticket for you to travel back to Australia and legitimately run away. I mean, what other options do you even have? Don't know your visa situation, but staying like this at 28 isn't healthy. OP, a general consensus on relationship advice subreddit by Indians was to not call the cops, as they might not cooperate. Consider this a family matter and side with the parents. I don't know what they can't do, as I haven't had to involve cops before. But I'm just scared to do that now. Non-accessory to 426. This post is so confusing. I don't understand how exactly they are preventing you from leaving. Are you locked in a room or something? You have access to the phone and internet. Hopefully you have your passport. Book a ticket yourself or ask your partner to book it for you. And walk out of that damn door. Unless you are physically tied to a bedpost in a locked room. I am not able to grasp what is the issue here. You are a grown adult. Why are you seeking their permission to leave? Also, we have 24 hours in a day. Your brother is not going to spend the entire time guarding you. It will take you 2 minutes to grab your necessary documents and reach the front door. OP, I know for a fact that if I walk out with bags, they will physically stop me. And I don't know what other consequences would be to that once they know I want to walk out. The only thing I can do is leave without bags, and I'd probably have to do that update post. December 9, 2025, 5 days later. Thank you everyone for all your concerns, suggestions, and for giving me hope. I didn't want to update sooner because it struck me very late that there is a small possibility my brother uses Reddit. The chances of him coming across this post were slim, but I didn't want to risk anything. In short, I ended up running away from home. I'm still contemplating if the decision I took was too extreme for the situation. But I think I'll go crazy if I go down that rabbit hole. A couple friends of mine had a friend who I met last month, but was hesitant to reach out because he was a fairly recent friend in a town 3 hours away, so my boyfriend and my friends planned my getaway. I was constantly surrounded by my relatives, parents to plan things. But for everyone reading, I am of sound mind, and the decision to do this was mine alone. I snuck out the night we came back home from my relatives on the pretext of going for a walk. But I know they'd probably have found out not too long after I left. My friend was waiting in his car close to my place, and he drove me to the airport. It was perfect because booking a cab would have had issues with timing. I didn't know when would be a good time to sneak out, so having a friend around gave me the flexibility to sneak out at my own convenience. The priority was getting out of the country as soon as possible, without even knowing what the best way was to get to Australia. This was also crazy timing with the Indigo fiasco. Editor's note: this is regarding the Indigo airline and flight disruptions. Not sure if it helped or hurt our chances. I could only do this because of the immense support from my friends back home, who spent a lot of time planning the routes and booking the flights for me, so as to not arouse any suspicions from my family, and very little time for them to act. I've had messages from them and a few calls. All I've done is message them that it was my decision to leave and list a couple points on why, and that I'd be keen to work on the relationship if they can try to come around to my life choices. Thank you everyone again, and especially to people who reached out to make sure I'm doing okay. Edit 1. Thanks to everyone who have been following my story and for all of the support here. I know there has been a lot of backlash in the comments around me wanting to work on the relationship, and I just want to be clear that it doesn't mean I'll be going back to India in the next few years or ever putting myself in a situation where I would be face to face by myself. And even then, they would have to put in significant work to earn back my trust. This would need to happen over the phone, and I'm going to be taking any apology with a grain of salt. And I'm not hearing them out on anything other than an apology anytime soon. My partner and I agree that throwing away the relationship that I've had for the past 28 years of my life is a really big step, and now that I've gotten out, they have lost a lot of the power they once had. Now that we have the advantage in the situation, we want to show some level of mercy